Hello, my cutie patooties. How y'all doing today? Hope you're doing good on this relaxing Sunday. I wanted to do a little bit of history today, and I've always been fascinated by Alcatraz. So, today's video is on Alcatraz. Now, the federal prison on Alcatraz Island, in the chilly waters of California's San Francisco Bay, housed some of America's most difficult and dangerous felons during its years of operation from 1934 to 1963. Among those who served time at the maximum security facility were the notorious gangster Al Scarface Capone from 1899 to 1947, and murderer Robert Birdman of Alcatraz Stroud, 1890 to 1963. Now, no inmate ever successfully escaped the Rock, as the prison was nicknamed, although more than a dozen known attempts were made over the years. After the prison was shut down due to high operating cost, the island was occupied for almost 2 years, starting in 1969 by a group of Native American activists. Today, historic Alcatraz Island, which was also the site of a U.S. military prison from the late 1850s to 1963, is a popular tourist destination. It's on my bucket list to go. Definitely. Now, in 1775, Spanish explorer Juan Manuel de Ayala, 1745 to, I guess, from what I saw and looked at, it was 1797, mapped and named rugged Alcatraz Island, christening it La Isla de los Alcatraces, or Island of the Pelicans, due to its large population of seabirds. 75 years later, in 1850, President Millard Fillmore, 1800 to 1874, signed an order reviving the island for military use. During the 1850s, the fortress was constructed on Alcatraz Island. A fortress was constructed on Alcatraz Island. Some 100 cannons were installed around the island to protect San Francisco. Also, during this time, Alcatraz became home to the West Coast first operational lighthouse. And now, fun fact, did you know each year hundreds of athletes participate in the escape from Alcatraz triathlon, proving that with training and proper gear, it is possible to swim from Alcatraz and survive. First held in 19 1980. The event includes a 1.5-mile swim to San Francisco, plus an 18-mile bike ride and 8-mile run. I'll just stay here, drink my coffee, have a little croissant, and I'm good. Yeah, I'm not gonna participate in that. Nope. Now, by the late 1850s, the U.S. Army had begun holding military prisoners on Alcatraz, isolated from the mainland by the cold, strong waters of San Francisco Bay. The island was deemed an ideal location for a prison. It was assumed no Alcatraz inmate could attempt to escape by swimming and survive. During its years at the military prison, the inmates at Alcatraz included Confederate sympathizers and citizens accused of treason during the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865. Now, Alcatraz also housed a number of rebellious American Indians, including 19 Hopis from Arizona Territory, who were sent to the prison in 1895 following land disagreement with the federal government. The inmate population at Alcatraz continued to rise during the Spanish-American War. 1898. Now, during the late 20th century, inmate labor fueled the construction of a new cell house. The 600 cell structures still stands to this day on Alcatraz, along with a hospital, mess hall, and other prison buildings. Now, according to the National Park Service, when this new complex was finished in 1912, it was the world's largest reinforced concrete building. Now, in 1933, the Army relinquished Alcatraz to the U.S. Justice Department, which wanted a federal prison that could house a criminal population too difficult or dangerous to be handled by other U.S. penitentiaries. Following construction to make the existing complex at Alcatraz more secure, the maximum security facility officially opened on July 1934. The first warden, James A. Johnston, 1874-1954, hired approximately one guard, just one, for every 3 prisoners. I would do 2. That's just me, because you're kind of outnumbering the guard for the prisoners. Each prisoner had his own cell. Now, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, the BOP, viewed Alcatraz as the prison system's prison, a place where the most disruptive inmates could be sent to live under sparse conditions with few privileges in order to learn how to follow the rules, at which point they could be transferred to other facilities, federal prisons, and complete their sentence. According to the BOP, Alcatraz typically held some 260 to 275 prisoners, which represented less than 1% of the entire federal inmate population. Now, among those who did time at Alcatraz, or the Rock, was the notorious Prohibition-era gangster Al Scarface Capone, who spent 4.5 years there during the 1930s. His arrival on the island generated headlines across America. Capone was sent to Alcatraz because his incarceration in Atlanta, Georgia, had allowed him to remain in contact with the outside world and continue to run his criminal operation in Chicago. He was also known to corrupt prison officers. All of that ended when he was sent to Alcatraz. Now, according to the biography Capone by John Cobbler, Capone once told the warden, "It looks like Alcatraz has got me licked." And some say to this day that Capone's spirit is still at Alcatraz. I don't know. Would you be brave enough to spend the night at Alcatraz and see? Watch Ghost Hunters and see. Or Ghost Adventures, I think. Yeah, Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures both did that. And, yeah. I believe he's still there to this day. Now, other famous, or infamous, Alcatraz inmates include George Machine Gun Kelly, 1895 to 1954, who spent 17 years there on a kidnapping conviction. Gangster Alvin Creepy Karpowitz, 1907-79, listed as public enemy number 1 by the FBI. In the 1930s, he spent over 25 years. Karpowitz, yeah. Behind bars at Alcatraz, reportedly more time than any prisoner there. Murderer Robert Stroud, also known as the Birdman of Alcatraz, was transferred there after 3 decades at the federal penitentiary in Leavenworth, Kansas. Stroud arrived on the island in 1942 and served 17 years there. However, despite his nickname, he was not permitted to keep birds at Alcatraz, as he had while locked up in Leavenworth. Oh, I bet he missed his little birdies. Now, over the years, there were 14 known attempts to escape from Alcatraz involving 36 inmates. The Federal Bureau of Prison reports that of these would-be escapees, 23 were captured, 6 were shot and killed during their attempted getaways, 2 drowned, and 5 went missing and were presumed drowned. I would imagine so. The most famous escape attempt resulted in a battle from May 2nd to May 4th, 1946, in which 6 prisoners overpowered cell house officers and were able to gain access to weapons, but not the keys they needed to leave the prison. In the ensuing battle, the prisoners killed 2 correctional officers and injured 18 others. The U.S. Marines were called in and the battle ended with the death of 3 of the rogue inmates and the trial of the 3 others, 2 of whom received the death penalty for their action. Now, the federal penitentiary at Alcatraz was shut down in 1963 because its operating expenses were much higher than those of other federal facilities at the time. The prison's island location meant all food and supplies had to be shipped in at great expenses. I kind of wonder if they brought up, got Alcatraz moving again. I think that'd be kind of cool. Comment below, let me know what you think. Furthermore, the isolated island buildings were beginning to crumble due to exposure to the salty sea air. During nearly 3 decades of operation, Alcatraz housed a total of 1,576 men. In 1969, a group of Native Americans led by Mohawk activist Richard Oakes, 1942 to 1972, arrived on Alcatraz Island and claimed the island on behalf of Indians of all tribes. The activists hoped to establish a university and museum on the island. Oakes left Alcatraz following the death there of his stepdaughter in 1970, and the remaining occupiers, whose ranks had become increasingly contentious and divided, were removed by order of President Richard Nixon. 1913, In 1971, the island became part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area in 1972 and was opened to the public a year later. Today, some 1 million tourists visit Alcatraz each year. Like I said, that is on my bucket list to go. I would love to visit Alcatraz myself and explore and see all the cells and what it was like. Well, I hope you liked this video, my cuties. If you did, smash that like button. Leave a comment below. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you know when my videos go up. Love you guys. Smooches and hugs. Bye.